But like to being around creative people is like it's a great thing. Like what you're doing is fantastic. Like I mean, you're creating an environment for creative people, and they don't have to spend $60,000-$100,000. You're doing it.
Right.
I mean, basically like for free.
Yeah.
Like you're bringing these people together. Like you don't need that for that. What you're saying.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of something that Mike kind of touched on, like people, you don't need to go to school. People have lost kind of the art of self-teaching. You know what I mean? But for it's still very commonplace in music. Like a lot of musicians are self-taught, and that's something that if we can give people resources to teach themselves, and we can surround them with a community that can help teach them too, then we're replacing the whole need for the schools that you're talking about, because I really don't think that there's a place for them. Don't think there's a need for an arts school. Just go make a bunch of art until you're really good at it. You know what I mean? Experience is the best teacher, and that's the Wild Folk. That's we fill in the gaps. You know what I mean? If you show up with the motivation and the time commitment to your craft, then we'll give you the resources and the opportunities and the community to go along with that. You know what I mean?
Which is awesome. You're getting the real world experience. Like you're not digging for it. Like it's right there. You're getting it. Like you could get 4-year degree and say, "Oh, I have a degree from whatever in art," and your paintings suck. Like they suck. It's whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, degree doesn't mean anything in art. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. You might have gotten an A in it, but I don't know. I mean, because it's hard to dismiss that entirely, because that is a great platform for some people, because some people are really only going to learn and grow in that kind of structured environment. But I just don't. There needs to be a third option. You know what I mean? Because right now there really is no third option.
But I think if you're learning and growing in that environment, and I guess we can kind of talk to you about the Wild Folk right now because we're talking about it anyway.
Yeah.
Is like if you are in that environment, it's not Stanford, it's not whatever. It's you're around creative people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we get together, we text, and we have all kinds of ideas, and we're always super supportive of our ideas, and it makes us better.
Yeah.
It's not about the school. It's about getting around other people that are creative. I think
Right.
that's where it all blossoms from. It's not from a degree. It's from people helping you be creative.
The community.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that until you mentioned it. That literally what we were talking about with the whole school shit is this is kind of like whenever it comes to like our school, whenever it comes to like doing stuff like audio or video, you want to be around a community, which is what you're trying to do with Wild Folk, and just like build up, because you're gonna learn more from doing this kind of stuff and like working with it than just somebody saying, "Hey, you go and do this." Like. When would Brian have, done a podcast and he would have stayed music, but now that he's doing here, he's like branching out and kind of going into a lot of stuff.
And I don't know if I would necessarily say that what we're trying to set up is better, but it's definitely, it's another way to solve the problem, and it's another avenue for people to explore their interests creatively. But yeah, I mean that, the Brian example is perfect, because that's what the Wild Folk is here to do, is to give people opportunities they wouldn't have had otherwise. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We're trying to create this vehicle to kind of take people's projects further than they would have gone otherwise, and just diversify the opportunities and resources that people have. If they have more if people in general have more at their disposal, then they will think bigger and they will take their projects further,
When do you think you first identified your need for this in like the marketplace or just the area?
I think it was late last year. I really started to notice that there was a lot of people like posting on social media about like doing different types of crafting and showing their artwork off, and that kind of put the idea in my head, like, man, if there's this many people out there that are doing these like really cool creative things, and they're all trying to do something with it. Most people are trying to sell their artwork or their music, or they're trying to play paying shows. Why is it so far spread? You know what I mean? Like, why isn't anybody coming under one roof? And the more I looked around, the more I found that like there's a ton of talent, there's a ton of people who are doing things, but everybody is looking in a different direction, and everybody is so busy doing their own thing that they don't really have time to build a community around them. They don't really have time to network the way that they would probably like to, or be involved with other creators as much as they would like to be. So that's where the wild folk can come into play. You know, we're a built-in audience for people. We're a built-in, you know, resource index for people. You know, if you're a band that needs a music video done, instead of having to sift through a bunch of recommendations from people on a Facebook post, or, you know, having to do a couple of Google searches and make a couple of phone calls and have a different, you know, couple different conversations. If you're a Wild Folk member, you can just use our in-house Rolodex of videographers and photographers for your press stuff. You know, if you're, you know, a writer and you're, you know, trying to get your name out there, but you're not quite sure if you're ready to commit to doing a standalone book. Great. We're running these collaborative projects, you know, on a cycle throughout the year. We're trying to do them every quarter. So, you know, hey, the Wild Folk in another 2 months is probably going to have something I can submit my work to get my name out there and kind of dip my toes in the water. You know, we want to try to continue to expand that into other avenues as we grow. But the studio is really going to be the big jumping off point. The studio is the engine in the vehicle right now, so to speak. Where we're really going to be looking for musicians and, you know, maybe some other podcasters and comedians to come in and book with us and record content and let us help them elevate their projects.
So is that kind of like all of the projects that you're currently working on? Is that, or is there anything more?
Yeah, that's most of the irons that we have in the fire right now. We're really, really trying to focus in on the publishing side and the recording side right now, because those are the mediums that I'm most familiar with. Unfortunately, I'm just absolutely useless when it comes to putting like pen to paper or paint to paper. I do it, but I do it as something to relax myself in, you know, the comfort of my own home. It's nothing that I'm too good at. So we are going to be looking for people who kind of focus on 2D art in the near future to help lead the charge for some projects for that too. Right now we do have our Wild Folk coloring book that's going to be coming out in April. You water your own backyard. Mm-hmm. We're going to start here, and I'm going to, you know, work here until I feel like our local communities have the support that they need. And then, sure, we'll start expanding. But I think the rural areas are really where my heart's at. You know, like, I've lived in a few big cities in my life, and it's never, I don't know, that's not my thing. You know, I've always enjoyed living out in the country, and I've always resented the fact that because I like to live out in the country, have limited resources. You know what I mean? Like, as a kid, man, I remember like when I was a kid, living in LA was like the thing. You know what I mean? Like, you had to move to California to go do something with yourself. And then by the time I was an adult, it was like you have to move to Nashville or Austin if you want to do something with yourself.
Okay, so
You know?
so I think I kind of understand where you're trying to like bridge the gap. So it's not like you can find talent anywhere, instead of it being like you're forced to move to one of these larger cities, and you're trying to help out local areas and stuff like that.
Yeah, because why? Why do I have to move to Austin to get noticed when it's 2024 and I have cameras and microphones and the internet? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, obviously there's something to be said about going and seeing somebody in person and being a part of an in-person community, but that's why we're building it. You know what I mean? That's what the Wild Folk Community Center is for. You know, that's your hometown Austin. That's your hometown venue. That's what we're trying to grow into, is a central hub in small towns where people can feel like they have the exposure of a big city, you know?
And that's better, because like if you have to go to Austin, you have to go to LA or whatever, like it's the same thing. Like, you're letting people be original and creative. Like, everyone goes to Austin, like, oh, got to go to Austin for comedy. That's BS.
Yeah.
And then you go to Austin and every comedian's the same. So it's all cookie cutter. Like you're giving people an opportunity to be original, and not in the same cookie cutter thing, because you have to follow the same comedy clubs in Austin, same thing, same routine.
Yeah, and
That's your thing.
and that's where this is another thing. Like with I think being a creative as a whole, everybody runs into this in their mediums. Is that the idea of like what it takes to make it and what it takes to like maybe be able to do your art for a living always comes from this competitive cycle. And something that a lot of artists miss out on is the opportunity to work and be a part of a team. And that's something that I really, really want to try to cultivate within the Wild Folk, is a sense of a team dynamic where there is no and there should be no competition between artists and creatives, because nobody's work is going to be the same as anybody else's. None of us are playing the same game. We are all just doing our thing. So why can we not all just help each other do our thing a little bit better? And that's been said a million times, a million ways. But with the Wild Folk, I want to put our money where our mouth is. And I want to create that culture of, if you're in the Wild Folk, you are on our team. You are our people. You will have access to whatever we have access to. And we will do what we need to do collectively to help elevate your project, because it represents us as a whole.
And not even that, like, I think it's awesome. Like, I've been talking to you guys more since we've been doing this, and, like, just to have the creativity back and forth is nice. And, like, if anybody has anything they want to talk to me about, like, we're all there for each other. It's just so cool. We're growing together, which is a community, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like the mic. So.
Absolutely. I mean, iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's just an added benefit of being able to create that team environment, is that, yeah, we'll all continue to push each other. We'll all continue to exchange ideas with each other and expand each other's horizons creatively. You know, I mean, already just in the last few weeks, I've learned a lot just working with you guys. So, and that's going to continue in everywhere that the Wild Folk reaches.
And it's been super fun. Like, I love it. I love the whole experience. Like, I mean, I can't say enough about it. Like, it's been awesome. I'm sure Mike feels the same way.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm
It's
sure
a
the
good time.
other people that work with you probably feel the same way. It's awesome. It's just a big community, and what you're growing. Like, you can feel what you're growing. It's tangible.
Yeah. It's tell you what, man, it's been a pretty moving experience so far, and I'm really ready to dig in and do the work to get this to where I feel like it deserves to be, you know. And I'm really excited to see where we can take it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, like, getting the community together. And it'll also be really cool, because I imagine that as it keeps on building up, you'll see more, like, you'll start working with other people in different groups. So, like,
Yep.
if you need, let's say you need a headshot, like, if I ever need a headshot in the future, there's going to be photographers that are already in the same system. So instead of going to some random person, you're going up to somebody who you've already worked with, you've already done projects with, and it just ends up becoming much more like the dynamic of, I guess, working with somebody that you already know, as well as supporting somebody who you've already know what they've been through. Even if they're not the best, you know that they're learning it, and you're willing to give them that work so that they do improve.
Yeah, so that they can get better, because they're a part of your community. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you help them get better, maybe in the future, you know, that person, that photographer that you gave an opportunity to, brings 10 people to your next show. You know what I mean? I mean, it's all one hand washing the other, you know, and we can't afford to spend any more time acting like we're disconnected. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I think that's the problem with the world, is that everybody's shooting for themselves.
yeah.
And I think that's honestly a major problem with, like, that's why you're seeing a lot of people go back into religion. More people are going towards religion now and stuff like that. It's because in the modern society, even though we have all these digital things, we're not connected as a group.
No.
And I think that's what you're putting for, at least for artists, is it's a group for us to all meet up and go over projects, see what's good with each other, working together. And that is something that I feel is missing in a majority of the United States.
Yeah, I would agree with you completely, and that's our slogan, is community for creatives and art for all. You know what I mean? Like, we're here to support each other as creatives so that we can make the best art that we can for the rest of the world, and to the end goal of, you know, art art reflects culture and culture reflects art. So what we're creating is our own reality, and the better we can make that for each other, the better it is for ourselves. We can't afford to spend any more time feeling disconnected.
And it has such a long standing this butterfly effect out. But let's say you give someone a chance to say something they're thinking about, and they feel accepted. They're nicer in public. They're nicer at the gas station. Like you're building something like a ripple effect. And it's just even if let's say if you don't get famous, but you feel seen.
Yep.
Then you're happier in your day to day, and then you're making somebody else happier. And there's just too much people arguing at the gas. We need to stop that. And feeling seen is, people are too insecure.
Yeah.
You're giving people a chance to not be insecure. People are accepting them here, and it's going to have long-standing effects in the community, not just art-wise, but if people feel seen and not insecure, people won't be as angry. It's an angry society, and you're doing your part, which you might not even think about this, to prevent that from getting worse, maybe even bring it back a little bit.
That's again, just another benefit to kind of giving people that third place, that third outlet. Like you said, when we're, some of the bravest human beings I've ever spoken to are the people who participated in the original writing, like Wild Book, like yourself, who were just so willing to just be yeah, these are my thoughts and emotions, and you want to put them out there for the world? Yeah, go ahead, whatever. Hey man, that takes some guts, but it was well received. They also got the glory of getting to see that book break through number 10 and then number 5 on Amazon, and feel that sense of pride of being a part of something that was bigger than just their journal, and man, I want to try to bring that to as many people as possible, because that's something that everybody genuinely deserves.
And I love it, man. I talk to people all the time. I'm super outgoing, and so many people they don't think that their voice is important, and it's so weird.
So lame, man.
But it's so weird to hear. People are scared to do things. They think people are going to discount them. If someone discounts your shit, screw them, whatever. But you still have a voice, and it's awesome that you're giving people a chance, and people that might not feel that they have a voice. You're saying you're nervous about it. I threw mine out, whatever. I don't care. People, they whatever. But some people aren't that way, and the people that aren't that way have the best content, and you're never going to see it because they're hiding in a corner.
Absolutely.
And it goes to how much you guys work together and how much of a community that you guys brought together, where you guys got up to what? It was number 5, number 6
we hit
on
4.
Amazon?
I think we
4.
topped
4.
out at number 4 in American poetry.
Yeah, and for a first-time producer, what were you the author, producer? What was it?
I guess producer or editor.
Yeah, for the first time and the community coming together and doing that, for it to go up that high, that says enough in itself. I didn't think that would have ever happened, to be honest with you.
It was well beyond my expectations, and that was when I really realized that we were doing something that mattered, because I was it kind of scared me for a second. I was oh man, that wasn't supposed to happen. We're not supposed to be it was every time I logged into Facebook, there was writing like wild for 3 days. I was man, people are showing up. And that was when I knew I wasn't getting out of this. You know what I mean? I was all right, well now I gotta put the skinny pedal down and see how far I can take this.
Guess I gotta ride this rocket to the sun, see how far this goes. Yeah.
But you know what? It's the most worthy thing I've ever spent my time on. You know what I mean?
And I think have you mentioned that? Are you doing more of those poetry books as well?
Yeah, we're gonna announce another one later this month.
Okay.
And I think we're gonna narrow the scope a little bit and have this one themed. Just don't know what yet.
Figuring it out on the run.
Figure it out. We got a list of ideas. It's just a matter of picking something, and picking something that people will want to be into. That's always the hardest thing, because you can toss it out there, but it's really hard to find something that's casts a wide enough net to get the participants you want.
But you got to be getting more people interested now. After the first book was good, people are interested now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We definitely have a certain amount of attention. When we asked for 2D artists for the coloring book, we got probably 10 people off the first post, and I only posted about it 3 times. I'm trying really hard to keep the entry stuff minimal for right now, and just give the people who respond the fastest, the slots first for participation.
We got to get like a painter because I have some painting ideas. I need someone to oil paint for me. I have some nonsense.
Perfect. Yeah.
I need one. If anyone's out there.
I really want to find if anybody is out there listening to this and you want to become involved with the Wild Folk and you work in a 2D medium, feel free to hit me up because I'm definitely looking for some help right now for some people that have time to get involved. So I want to really start doing some stuff to help that side of the community too, because I just feel I'm a writer and a musician. That's what I do. I don't know what to do for drawing and painting. I really don't know what that community needs.
And also, whenever it comes to that kind of stuff, does it have to be locally, or can it be just anybody from anywhere in the world?
No, I mean, listen, I'm never going to turn anybody away. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care where you're at. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to like where we're putting our money and stuff, we're going to be putting our money in locally. We're going to be focusing on Western Pennsylvania when it comes to like throwing events and stuff like that, and doing like in-person things. But I mean, for the digital stuff, like if you can get a hold of me and you can send it to me, I'll read it. I'm a sucker. If it's in my inbox, I gotta open it, and if it's open, I'm gonna read it.
And it might be something magical. You can't not open it.
And that's the thing that's exactly why I have to read it, because I'm like, this might be the greatest thing I've ever read, dude. And I'm such a fool. I'll never stop tricking myself. Like I'll always have that thought.